Let me do a Ron Burgundy freshen up real quick.
I don't get it. What does that mean?
Like on Anchorman, whenever he was all washed up, and then he did that quick freshen up and put a suit on.
Yeah.
No. Sorry.
No?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, all right. I
you.
opened a window.
Oh,
there's no suit.
You opened a window. It smelled, man. I was concerned.
Well, like open the blinds, not the actual window.
Sure.
To have some light.
Nice.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to. I was like, what are we doing? Who are we? Our home team. We go live every week talking about the good, the bad, the ugly of building a team. And, honestly, we talk about all things real estate, what's happening in the markets and things like that. We have fun here. Chris does his best to derail us every live session.
Yep.
So there's always like a constant tension here, a conflict, a battle, if you will. Oh, man. Yeah. So, happy Friday. Let's kind of just jump into it. And for everybody's watching, feel free to drop some comments of any questions you might have about real estate teams, anything along those lines. I like Kat's name with all the capitals, like it's Powerhouse, or like is it an acronym?
I did not do that. No, I'm on my phone. I have to drop kids off because now school's back in, and I was trying to log in, and it wouldn't bring up a name for me, and so I'm like typing while I'm sitting in line waiting to go at the school.
That's awesome.
It's all good. I like it. I like the capital Cat with a capital K.
Apparently, it wanted to emphasize all.
That's right. That's exactly what it was.
Nice. I'm spoiled because my 9-year-old is literally doing his schoolwork 15 feet away from me in his own office in my house. So,
dang,
I don't have to worry about leaving the house, get the kids prepped, get them to the school on time, drop them off at the bus, and none of that jazz.
He's got his own office?
Yeah, well, so it's mama's office, but in the morning when it's schoolwork time, it's his. Like, that's his school spot. That's his office. So my 9-year-old has his own office. He goes to work Monday through Friday. He knows, like, my job. He knows, like, my job is to sit down, log in, do my schoolwork. That's my job. He knows.
That's awesome. That is great. Well, Walter, since you're so chipper, we'll start with you. What's one problem issue you faced with the team this week?
Good problems. I got a call from an agent that she was kind of scrambling. She had built some great relationships. She was prepping some stuff. She was out there moving and shaking, and then life happened. And so last minute catastrophes, and she was trying to figure out, like, how do I juggle legit life catastrophes that are going on right now, and my partner that was going to jump in and help me with this is also having some life catastrophes, but we agreed to do this thing. How is this all going to come together? And so they were kind of floundering a little bit, trying to figure out how best do we continue to do all these things and juggle all these balls. So that was the problem.
So a very common problem, I would say, is that balance. So what was kind of your advice, your suggestions?
So it was one of those things. Again, it's very common. It happens a lot. Just talking through it with someone else that's detached from the chaos basically led them to the same conclusion that they knew that they needed to come to, but they just didn't. They needed someone else to tell them. So essentially what we did is we walked and talked through it, and we said, listen, this is the priorities. And what you're trying to keep on the plate is way down here. And you got all this stuff up here. Reschedule this. It's okay, right? We go out there and
put the priorities in order.
Put the priorities in order. You got some legit life stuff happening that is number one. Your partner has some legit life stuff that popped up. It's okay. Reschedule the thing that you were going to do. Let everyone know, hey, life happens. No big deal, right? And reestablish when you're going to do it. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Don't even sweat it. And they knew that was the right answer, right? Most agents, they know, but just having other people that they can talk those things out with,
yeah,
and say, this is what I got going on, this is what I'm thinking, and then as soon as you say, like, well, wouldn't you agree that this is a higher priority than that? They're like, oh, of course. Sometimes they just need some backup. They need that moral support to say it's okay to reprioritize life over business sometimes.
So for everyone watching, especially real estate agents, do you struggle with balance as well? And if you do, how do you address that struggle? Because I think it's a very common one when you're self-employed.
I do not struggle with balance, just so everyone's clear. That's what you got to learn, agents.
It's waiting for you to actually punch the computer when you did that. No, I mean it's a real problem. I think there's a lot that I feel like, and it's not a dog on the brokerages or even on the licensing. It's just a harsh reality. Is there's so much more to business than just getting your license.
Yeah,
there's so much more to business, and it's the same problem that post-secondary education college degrees have with, is that they cram you with a bunch of knowledge. Most of it you won't ever use. And then you get out entirely unprepared. It's supposed to prepare you, but in the reality, it almost gives you this false sense of preparedness. Oh, I got my degree. Oh, I got my license. Therefore, I must be ready.
Yeah.
Therefore, I must be in a position. Then what happens is, because you think you're supposed to be ready, you think that you should start making money, succeeding.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're ready. You have the thing that you needed to succeed. And so then you have these false expectations, these unrealistic expectations. Everything's going to be great. I'm going to get into real estate. I'm going to start making money. Less than 30 days, I haven't made money. Yeah. I must be a failure. And it's like, first of all, you need to understand how the real estate business flows. Yes, you can make money in 30 days. Absolutely. But it is extremely unlikely that if you're a brand new agent, you will make money in 30 days. Man, why is finances not part of getting into the real estate industry?
It's funny you mentioned that, the finances side. I was just chatting with an agent, if not yesterday, then Wednesday, I can't remember now. And one of the questions I asked her, she's been in the business for 22 years. It's a super great gal. Had a wonderful conversation. And one of the things I asked her was, what's one thing you either still want to learn or you wished you would have learned earlier in your career? And it was kind of heartbreaking, but it's exactly right in this industry. She said, I wish I would have learned how to manage the money I was making, because now I've been doing this for 22 years and I have to keep doing this because I can't afford to retire. And that's a legit reality. So I was talking about that with her, and I said, you know what? I'm going to build for our double income coaching. I'm going to build an agent finance, an agent money management. I'm going to build a course. I'm a certified financial coach, but I never thought to bring that into the real estate world. But that conversation with that gal really did hammer home something that I already knew, but it wasn't at the forefront of my mind, which is agents get into this business, and once they learn to do business well, which you can absolutely learn to do business well, you make a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And then 20 years goes by and you've spent that money that you made because you didn't think about, well, how much should I save? Should I build some retirement nest egg here? What should I be doing to prepare myself for the eventual time frame where I'm not going to be doing all these transactions and making all this money?
No matter what.
How do I prepare myself? And there's a void of education in that space around real estate agents. So I'm actually going to put some dedicated time on my calendar to build that out and marry the financial coaching that I already do and the real estate, and bring that together in a way that real estate agents can start thinking about, how do I plan this out long term to make sure I'm in the right position when the time comes.
It makes me think of also the fact that Kat and like Stephanie are talking about mental health too.
Oh, and yeah.
Like, that's so important. There's just so much here. And it's kind of like what do they say? The 80-20 rule almost. Right. So when you're actually working, right, 20% produces 80%. But also there is a hidden 20% that affects 80%. Your mental health, your priorities, your actual physical health. Like, your financial status. Like it will, if you're doing business and you're 22 years in, you're even if you've had any amount of success, if your brain tells you, I have to do this or else I'm going to suffer, it's a whole different way of doing business, because now you're not doing business out of abundance.
Right.
Now you can't even do business for the heart of serving others. You have to do business in desperation. That you have to, because because you can't say, oh, I'm doing it because I love people. Really? So you can stop right now or you'll work for free? No, I can't do that. So you're not doing it because you love people first. First, you're doing it because you need to make money. Now, the quality of service, I'm going to put this out there, I think will go up exponentially the more that you get your house in order, the more that your finances are in order. That doesn't even mean all your debt's gone. That doesn't mean that everything's perfect. Chris, like, get out of here. I'm out of this. It just
but it means that you're not stressed and you're not mentally focused on your finance issues. So that allows you to then focus and put that mental power into serving your clients better. Absolutely.
We should make sure that if we don't have already in the 90-day success plan, a small tidbit about tracking your expenses, basically like the basics of setting up the foundation for your business on the financial side.
Real estate money management. I'm going to add it in there for sure.
That'll be amazing. Really excited about that. All right, Walter, give us some highlights of the week.
Man, everyone's just out there winning. I mean, I think I say that probably every week, but every week someone else is popping up to say, I took action and I'm getting great results from that action. And I just wanted to share, like I'm winning, right? I would use with Sonny as an example this week.
You could say Sonny. I was like,
the partnerships that he's out there putting together, right? And I think last week, I think Camilla was doing the same thing, and it's over and over and over, right? The agents that acquire knowledge and then go execute on the knowledge they acquire are having wild success. And right, it's funny because now we're in that time of the market where we're finally starting to shift back to reality. And there's a lot of agents that are freaking out because, well, now what do I do? Like, how do I do business? How am I going to make money? And the agents that are acquiring knowledge and executing on the knowledge they acquire are seeing great results right now. And they're going to capture massive market share in their market. And 5 years from now, they're going to be those agents that everyone's looking to say, oh my goodness, how do I do what you did?
See,
it's not rocket surgery.
I'm going to say something that might sound crazy, but I think that right now, and if it continues like this, is actually the most efficient and greatest opportunity to make money that we've had this whole year. I think that right now, with what we're seeing, because we are now seeing sellers come down, and I'm going to say this and people get mad, coming down from their egos. We are seeing some sellers saying, oh, okay, maybe my $500,000 house that I bought for $200,000 isn't worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case. Now, that's not everybody, but reality is starting to set in for some people. Some people are saying that. That's a good thing, because a good, knowledgeable agent knows what to do with that. They know how to step in, still be respectful to the client, still show them the pathway to success, which opens up their pathway to success as an agent.
Yeah.
And then buyers now have an opportunity they didn't have before. Yeah, interest rates are high. Guess what? 2.5 years ago, people were getting approved and buying homes at these rates as well. Part of the way that we did that is that everybody pitched in together. We got builders now who are offering 10 grand towards closing costs. 10 grand towards closing costs, and other perks, a fridge here. Like, we're seeing that. I'm getting the builder emails now where all of a sudden, type, hey, Robert, by the way, we have this amazing community. I'm like, I haven't heard from you in 6 months. What's up?
Yeah, no doubt.
So I really think there's a wonderful opportunity right now for those who are prepared. If you're not prepared, you're right. It's scary because you don't know what to do with what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think, and when I say prepared doesn't always mean you know all the answers. It means that you are prepared with the right people around
Yeah.
you, the right tools, the right resources, so that you can face what's ever in front of you and know that you have the support you need to continue forward.
Yep. No doubt.
All right. That was fun. I'm really excited about the financial side of things. That's really exciting. I'm pretty stoked for that. Chris, problem issue you face with? Oh, just went all black. He's like, they can't see
He's
me.
scared.
Problem issue you faced with the team this week?
All right. So I was swapping back to where I can remember what I said. So there was a few more contracts than normal that fell out this week. And I, of course, I get to field those calls from the agents on the team that are having those contracts fall through. And, kind of help them try to figure out the best situation in doing that and possibly how to avoid some of those things in the future, how to avoid losing clients. So how did I fix or solve that problem?
Yeah.
So I really asked them like to get to the root of the problem. So we need to know and each one's going to be different. Is it buyer fatigue and they're just scared of the market? Is it they didn't want the house to begin with? Were they rushing and then realized that they just didn't want it?
So is it buyers backing out? Is that basically what I'm hearing?
There's buyers backing out. Yeah. Yep. And one of those buyers had like a freaking $30,000 grant, I think, to help buy the house. It was insane on a $230,000 house. No, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that, but it was a huge grant that she was just walking into free money. Yeah, exactly. It was a huge grant that they were doing. I don't know all the details about it, but yeah, it was like an astronomical amount of money to walk away from. That was like literally free money. And
so getting to the root of the problem, right? Is what you encourage them.
So that one's gone. Another one was just the buyer was all of a sudden like good to go. A couple days before closing, like, I'm afraid to be in more debt. Like that was the fear. It wasn't just about rates. It wasn't about whatever. It was afraid to take on more debt. And I'm like, well, you've got to bring in your lender on that side of things to really have that discussion and have somebody else beside you dive in on that. So that's part of, how I told them to fix that is like have a group conversation with the lender and just talk about it. So, and then there was one more.
Jeez.
That, well, it wasn't under contract, but this particular one came up, and this agent had driven them all over Tarnation. I mean, literally out to West Tennessee, all over Middle Tennessee, and referred them out to East Tennessee, and was like driven miles and miles. And then the buyer all of a sudden bought a house in Alabama. So as I told him, I'm like, look, you have to have conversations and you have to directly ask them, are you looking in any other states? Like, you've got to ask. They're not always just going to come out and tell you, are you looking in other states? So that's the fix to that, because he could have at least potentially gotten a referral out of it if he had known that they were looking in other states. So you just have to ask those questions. You have to have that buyer consult. You've got to jump through all those. And I'm definitely jumping through all those questions before I drive all over the state showing houses.
Well, you have the benefit of selling hundreds of homes. And
that's true.
And
that's
I mean
true.
that respectfully. I'm saying it's really hard. And I think that's where as leaders, I struggle, because I feel like, man, I could have prevented this. And of course, that's a never ending cycle. But some part of me is like, okay, all right, my brain's already thinking like, okay, the first one fell through. What could we have done there? Second one fell through. What could we have done there? Third one fell through. What could we have done there? Now my brain goes to this whole list of things that, I could build something for that. I could go through this whole process. And some of it, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe we do make sure we have some good buyer consultation training to teach them what to do and how to do it. Make sure it's clear enough to where if they go and don't do it, it's on them, right? They have what they needed. And then part of it is just me as a person. I like fixing things. Kat, I saw you on mute.
I'm the same way.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, if you think about it, compare it to being a parent. As a parent, you want to protect your child from every single thing that they're going to go through, right? I mean, from infancy all the way up into, you know, young adulthood. And you want to keep telling them, don't do this because you've already been through it. But at the same time, you have to fail through things in order for it to click and you to be like, okay, so now that I know that that happened, I know not to do it again. We wish we could give everybody a book, you know, or some type of guide that says, hey, if you just make sure that this situation comes up, you don't do this, but nobody listens to it. You have to, I don't know why our brains are wired for us to physically fail ourselves to see that we shouldn't do that again. Same thing.
Experience is
it's happened to me as well. So, you know, like I've had buyers that have bought in other states that I was helping. And then if I just asked them, I would have known.
I know, and there's tons of little things like, you know, I can't remember, but I remember working with another lead, and there was some small part that I just assumed they understood. And it's like, man, we cannot, in this business, we cannot assume anything. We have to assume that everybody knows nothing about everything. And when I say that, I mean, like, I try to be extra cautious and never assume that the lender's going to be perfect, that the title's going to be perfect. I always try to make sure I double check that, clarify that. People have bad days. Even if they're the best lender in the world, they might be off that day, that week, that month. They might have lost, right? I had a great lender that I knew once who lost a family member, who didn't tell anybody, and struggled through a whole deal. And it was like, what is happening? To the point that I'm like, I got to drop this lender. Versus like that. One, I personally think it would have been professional for them to come to me and be like, I'm struggling. So either here's how I need you to help me, or I need to bring someone else in, right? To like, it's they know their capacity, or should. Right. And then, you know, who is it? Paul that recently joined us, you know, over at the Carbon Club, you know, reminding him like, you're the glue. I believe that real estate agents hold the most responsibility, and when they do their job right, and they hold the most influence. And so it's like, you don't have a lender checking in with the agent to make sure the agent's showing houses. That doesn't happen, right? Hey, did you make sure you made that 2:00 showing with them today? The lenders aren't doing that. But as agents, we are saying, hey, did they get their docs to you? Were you able to get back from underwriting? Our relationship is very, very different. Our responsibilities are very, very different. But I think I see a lot of agents that come into the industry thinking they're just an agent who focuses on showing homes, and going to appointments, versus having an understanding that they're the glue that holds everything together. They're the captain that steers the ship. Like, they're the ones that make this happen. It truly, 9 times out of 10, I believe it is the agent that has the greatest influence for making a deal succeed, apart from a buyer and a seller, you know, just backing out. But even in those cases, there's a lot that agent can do, like Chris, you're saying, the right conversations, the right questions, the right understanding, the right direction.
And not even with not even with the buyer or seller. I had a referral once that I had sold. He had bought up here, used me. I sold his house. He was moving to Florida, and I referred him to an agent down there. And I would check in with the client ever so often. We became really good friends. He went through a lot with another agent, and he was my go-to. And I guess he stopped looking in that area. Well, then he switched to another agent in a different area, and I had never asked if he was even going to look in a different area. So I ended up losing that referral because of that. I never even asked if he was going to move to the upper part of Florida. It was supposed to be near Orlando. So that's where I referred him. That's where he was going. The agent I hooked him with was great. I just never asked the question if he was going to look somewhere else. So once he did, he found his own agent, and then it's not my place to come in and be like, hey, so I didn't give you this client, but I've worked with this client, and now give me a referral. So
Yep. Chris, if you're there, how about some of your favorite moments of the week?
Favorite moment. So I just got down to Florida late last night, and or I guess I got here about 8 o'clock. But down here with Sam. So Sam won the team's competition for a week at my beach house, and I came down for a couple days to hang out with him and the guys, go to the beach and do some fishing. But so Sam's getting to celebrate down here.
Heck yeah.
For his successes.
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
Doing what he needed to do anyways.
which he just got like 2 or 3 new listings. So
Yep.
I know. He's like, when's the next competition?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm already ready.
And there's good fishing down there. Hopefully you and Sam catch as much as you and I did when I came to visit.
I hope so. Maybe some bigger ones.
Yeah, maybe some big ones.
Oh man, I love it. All right, let's Kat. One problem issue you faced with the team this week?
So mine wasn't necessarily with the team, but it was a few agents in general, and it's been finding more leads, which I think we're starting to see a turn, since before you had this abundance of buyers and not enough sellers, right? And then if you did have the listings, you didn't have to absolutely do anything because they brought everybody to you, right? So one of the things that that I've been having a few conversations about this week is where you can get more leads. And so the way that we're, I guess, in the process of solving it has been checking out what is their legs of business. So I always associate that with a table, and I say that you've got to have at least 3 legs of business in order to hold your table up. So while having things like, let's say, Op City and things like that, where you pay your referral at the end, that's a fantastic bonus, but it probably shouldn't be a leg of your business. And I've seen a lot of people that have been using sources like that, and they're like, oh, well, that's where I get my leads. Great. Where are you getting them else from?
Yep.
Well, I wait for them to come through. No. And then the reason I say I talked about them with that is sources like that are so up and down, and sometimes you get some that have good leads, and then other times you get ones that honestly it wasn't a lead to begin with, and so you're just chasing your own tail, waiting for this lead to come through. Whereas what I've been trying to get people to focus on is where they're already doing business that they could bring business from. So, like, for instance, I talked with somebody yesterday, and they're always at the gymnastics place with their daughter. Oh my God, do you realize all the people that are there, all the people that know you, all the people that are surrounded, around you, that you could be having conversations with? And it's 10 times easier to have a conversation with someone like that you already know versus doing a cold call. So for a lot of people, right, cold calling is an issue. Well, if you don't like cold calling, go and find those people that you're already around. If you like to go to dog shows, if you know that you've got friends in a neighborhood that host a movie night and you go to, go have conversations with those people, because it's a natural conversation. They already know and like you, and it's 10 times easier to then bring in people into your space that you're already comfortable with. And now you have another leg of business, which, to be honest, is your SOI, your sphere of influence, which should be a leg of your business anyway.
It's it's a really interesting thing how polar some agents can be, because some are like, I don't want to talk to anybody I know. They feel shy, they feel awkward, and I kind of get that. I see a lot more of that in the artistic side of things, musicians and artists of all sorts, where they don't really want to go to their family and say, buy my album. They feel awkward, as if they're not worth it. As if, and I'm like, man, and then you see people are like, well, I only want to talk to people I know. I don't want to talk to strangers. And I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, you need to do both, because your sphere of people that you actually know and they like you, I'm sorry to say it, but it's a small one. It's a small one. Unless you're some super famous person on social media, the sphere of people who actually know you, like you, remember your name, right? And let alone remember you're an agent, it's a small sphere. You need new business. You do. And actually, I'm an advocate and kind of very anti a lot of this thing of, I just want to live off referrals forever. I just want past client referrals. And I'm like, I think that's a really dangerous way to build your business. And we also don't see any other successful business, someone tell me if I'm wrong, in businesses where they only have past clients and all their business is from past clients. From what I understand, from every millionaire, billionaire, successful individual I've ever studied, it is a healthy balance of client retention and new business. New business. Your clients aren't your employees. Like, they don't work for you. So you can't just be like, yeah, get out there and get me referrals. Like, right? Like, they're not clocking in. And it's very much what you're saying, Kat, still, is to have those multiple sources of where it comes from. And then I know all of us agree here too that having sources you can control or have more control over. Opsity decides whether you get leads or not. That makes your business extremely vulnerable. That's why, like you said, Kat, it's in addition to something that you can control. Oh, I'm a new agent. Because the thing is it is whatever skills you use to convert leads on Opsity will be effective in 10, 11, 12, 13 other different lead gen strategies. You know why? Because it's converting online leads. Guess what? There's a ton of strategies that you can control with online leads to be able to go and do that. So you don't have to drop Opsity, but use it as a complement to a lead gen strategy that you can control. So you spend some time with them, just kind of going over. Now, did you actually link them up with some of the strategies that you know, or was it more of mindset, getting them out of the mindset and helping them think more like a CEO?
Yeah, so the biggest thing was really more of a mindset, right? Like, where do you go on a daily basis? What groups are you around? Like, most people have kids, right, that are involved in something. And so it was having a conversation around, honestly, the sources that are right beside you that you could expand into, and then we can have a conversation about other legs of business we can start adding. But let's start with what's around you and what's going to be a little bit more comfortable, because again, that's an easier conversation. And then you get more comfortable having conversations. Once you're more comfortable having conversations, then it's easier to step outside of that boundary for a lot of people versus, some of us are really great at like, hey, I'll just pick up the phone and cold call, never done it before, don't care, let's go. For other people, they have to work their way into doing things like that. Well, by continually having conversations with people around you about what it is you do in business, and yeah, I could help with this, or yeah, do you know someone like this? You get more confident. Once you build up that confidence, it makes it easier to then bring in additional legs of business, which in the beginning may have scared the living crap out of you, but now it's like, okay, I'm scared, but I think I could probably do it, right? And so that's the difference. And a lot of it is mindset. It's getting you from one point and understanding that it's a lot easier to expand than what you think, and then you can grow even more.
And it's so funny is I feel like it ties in with a lot of what Walter and Chris were saying. It comes down to kind of like this preparedness. Like you said, you're going to be a lot more confident talking about people who are nervous about the market when you understand what's happening in the market. When you know the numbers, when you know how to set realistic expectations based off data. You're going to come in there and other people will be shaky and scared and weak. And you'll go, listen, let's just look at the data. Here's what it's saying. And now let's make a decision. And now let's walk through this process. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's all right. But now you've made an informed decision, and that confidence goes up the more that you're prepared, and then the more that you exercise the knowledge that you've gained. I feel like that is another inspiration behind the State of the Union and why we're going to be bringing in monthly updates about inventory, right? About mortgages, about where title's coming in, and going to share a little bit about some of the issues or problems they've seen in title and how to fix and solve them, so that now agents aren't casually reading a Facebook post at some point they barely remember and using that as their basis of educating their clients. Because, right, like I definitely want to hear from you guys. Where do you guys think, and how often do you guys think agents are getting accurate information about mortgages, rates, inventory? Genuine question. Where do you guys think, and how often?
Probably online from other agents that are posting about it.
Or they're not at all.
Yeah.
Or not at all.
They're
Chris?
not educating themselves on the market that they work in at all.
What do you think, Chris?
I think a lot of them just want to do the fun stuff, and that's not fun.
Oh, well said. Well said.
But that's the difference between being a realtor and being a business owner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't call me out my name like that, Kat.
That's also the difference between
do that.
getting paid and going back to a 9-to-5 in 2 years because you didn't make it work,
Mhm.
because you weren't willing to put in the effort to educate yourself and to grow in your industry and to become a professional that had multiple legs of business and multiple areas of focus so that you could educate your clients. And then when the market gets back to not even hard, because we say, well, it's hard, market's going to get harder. The market's not going to get harder. It's not hard. Real estate is not hard.
It's different.
It's going to get harder than it has been, but it's not going to be hard. But those agents that aren't willing to put in a little bit of effort to educate themselves and then educate their clients and then make sound decisions based on data, they are going to go back to a regular job in 2 years. We know this because statistically speaking, it happens every 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Agents move out. We're going to be shifting into a market where that's going to happen again. And it's sad, but it's the reality, right? And back to the 80-20 rule, 20% of the agents are going to educate themselves. They're going to be ready to pivot, and they're going to be able to educate their clients properly on how this market is going to go. The other 80% are going to go, crap, I got bills to pay. I'm going to go get a job. And that's not necessarily wrong. I mean, everyone has to do their own thing. But if you're not willing to put in the effort now as the market shifts to get ahead of that, you're probably going to be one of the ones that leaves the market in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. So self-accountability time, everybody watching, that's a real estate industry professional, particularly agents. Where and how often are you getting market updates and how it's affecting your local market? It's okay to say I'm not. It's better to say I'm not and then do something about it.
Yeah.
Listen, I can say that for the first year or 2 years of my career, I really didn't know until a client needed me to know. And then I went and learned.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad, to be honest, right? I don't know. All I'm saying is transparency, right? Like, I was not someone who, like, every week sat down, said, here's what the market's doing. Okay, I'm ready for the week. It was a client had a question. I didn't know the answer. I went and got the answer. Simple as that. Again, for better or for worse, I don't know, but transparent, right? Like, I did not have a steady source of knowledge, because the truth is that all the lenders that I was talking to early on in my career never talked about the market, ever. They talked about, I'll take you to breakfast. I'll take you to lunch. Come to my networking meeting. Here's a pen and a notepad branded by us just for you. They weren't actually bringing me value. They weren't actually teaching me anything or equipping me with anything useful. They were just taking me out on dates and at first, right, you're all happy. You're like, oh, that date went so well. Yeah, listen, are they marriage material? That's the question you got to ask. Are they marriage material? Right? So, Kat, let's hear some of your favorite moments of the week.
I think my favorite moment has to be us preparing for the State of Union, because I am super excited to be able to hyper focus on each individual agent on the team's goals and then help them pursue it to their extent versus everyone as a whole.
Heck yeah. I'm really excited. I think it'll be a real big culture shock at first, because there's a lot of questions, but they're very basic questions. It's not complex. It's simple questions that, when answered, will create a very clear picture of the state of their business, state of the union, state of their business. And then from there, we as leadership are able to formulate a relevant plan. We talked about this in the leadership or in the team meeting. And I challenge every team leader right now to do a check of your business. Do you actually know the goals of the agents on your team? Brokerage owners, do you actually know the current goals of the agents in your brokerage? I'm going to put a little pulse out there and be like, unless they're best friends with the person and they see each other all the time and they talk about business or they work together, I'm going to tell you they probably don't know. You know why? I'm an attention to details guy, and I don't know. I don't. I have passing conversations that are muddled and kind of murky. I think I kind of know where this person wants to go. Man, I'm not going to be effective as a leader if I don't know where the end is, where the goal is. How can I point them in the right direction, equip them with the right tools to move down that path? If I have truly an unclear vision, and what's going to end up happening, which I think we've all seen in the industry, is an agent has expectations. They don't know how to articulate that, or they don't have a clear vision. So they're in a brokerage. They can't communicate effectively. Again, oftentimes because they just don't even know what to ask. They don't have a clear vision themselves. The broker does not know their goals or their dreams or their coach or their team leader. They don't get what they want. Even if they have success, they're not getting the success in the way that they want it. And so then bitterness grows, frustration grows, because neither side has no idea what the other is doing, and both of them are ineffectively communicating, assuming that the other gets it. So they leave. What do? They join a new team. They join a new brokerage. Guess what happens again? And guess what happens after that? And that's why my hope is, even though the State of the Union will be, I've never heard of anybody doing quite what we're doing. Like, I've heard similarities with very overview, a high level, yearly business plans, 5-year business plans. But I think we've all learned that the daily is really where the progress is made. And a lot of agents they'll set a year goal, ask them 3 months later what it is, and they have no idea. They weren't tracking it. They weren't following it. They never actually had a daily plan to execute it. So the State of the Union is going to be intense. It's a lot of work. We're going to dive deep into it. But if it works the way I believe it will, I pray to God it will, agents will have such a clear understanding of their business month over month, with fresh tools, training, and resources relevant to that month's goals, while keeping them on track for their long-term goals. That is the hope. They're going to have to answer a lot of questions, but again, they're not hard. And they're questions that they should be able to answer. You should be able to go to an agent and say, how many homeowners do you have in your CRM? You should know that. And if you don't know the answer, you should be able to easily get that. Why? Because it's your business. Go ask Walmart how many people they get on a daily basis walking through their doors, and they will give you an estimate on a number based off the data that they collect.
Mm-hmm.
Go ask them how many products they sell of a particular department. Go ask them. They know. Why? Because that's how they build the business. That data is essential. So getting these agents to basically create data. They're creating data for them to be able to analyze and view their business and then adjust off of. So if you can't tell, I'm very excited, but I'm also like nervous because I'm like, what if it doesn't work? I know, back to the drawing board, but your brain, like, sometimes you have ideas and you're like, that's a cool idea. Let's test it out. And then you have other ideas like, this is freaking sliced bread. This is the light bulb. If this works, like, we're going to change the world.
We still have to remember we're dealing with humans, though, right? So
we
can't. It's different if it's a machine. You're like, okay, either A, B, or C is going to happen. Like, there's so many different combinations of how it's going to be taken.
Don't worry, the microchips are ordered.
Right.
And the consent forms are being mailed out.
I just hope the biggest thing is that people at least get some type of takeaway with it, right? From their perspective, whatever it is, if they take away something, I feel like it's a win.
Well, and it was all built off of their feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would have thought of it randomly some other time, but it was listening to the problems we're facing, and senior agents, team leaders, brokerage owners, agent recruiters, coaches, the principles of what we're talking about resonated with every last one of them. Each one of them kept saying the same problems that they were having. And I kept looking for solutions, and we had micro successes. The Carbon Club accountability groups, I'd say that's a micro success, right? Because it's not a huge, it's not like, okay, we're going to teach you in this to how to make this much money, but it is teaching them accountability and giving them support. And so it's like these kind of micro steps. And I was like, okay, all right, that I think we all agree and have talked about. It's working. It's going well. Okay. All right. So then we try this other little thing with Paul, teaching them this part of their business. Okay. All right. We're seeing some success there. All right. So then we move on to another thing. And now I'm like, okay, this is all great. But again, they need it to know how to make it work together. Now, we see these pieces. They're awesome. How do we make them work together to produce a certain result? And that's where that State of the Union came from, right? Like, I mean, even Paul's a great example. Amazing coaching, super high energy, high level. But ask one of the agents in it how many or how much or how often they're going to do that thing. No plan. That's not Paul's fault. Paul's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. And the agent attending that training is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And they're crushing it and seeing results. But it's like all training and coaching systems, it's a piece of running a business. People think there's always these miracle pills. Would you guys agree? Oh, I'm going to go do cold calling now because Ricky Carruth made millions of dollars off of cold calling. And that must be the missing piece of my business. And I'm like, but you're coming from doing Facebook leads, which X, Y, and Z agent over there and team made millions of dollars from that. It's the training is, to be honest, we have an oversaturation of training now. And now it's like this application, or maybe even comprehension followed by application that's kind of missing. Great. This is great training. Now what do I do with it though? What do I do with the knowledge, right? The Bible even says like a foolish man is a man who stores up knowledge but does not know how to use it. A wise man is a man who has knowledge and knows how to use it.
Yep. It's the execution phase that most agents are missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm stoked. I hope it goes well. We will obviously keep everybody posted. Public accountability, we will attempt that on the 29th. That will be our first attempt. I'm sure it's going to be full of chaos and mistakes and issues, and I'm excited to grow through it. I think it'll be very polarizing at first. And then from there, I think we're going to see the right agents are going to look at this and say, this is exactly what I asked for. And if I'm not willing to put in this work, answer basic questions, how committed am I to the growth that I said I was? How much do I need the help that I said I needed the help, and then it was provided, and then I didn't do it? Right? And this is kind of my last great effort, if you will, to bring something unique to cohesively bring it all together. I think it'll also help us as team leaders because we meet every Monday, right? And we go, what are we going to talk about in the team meeting in an hour? I don't know if that's a good strategy, by the way, or not. It's just what we do. But imagine we could go in, pull up everybody's plans for the month, and then that's what the meeting's about. The training, the resources, the tools, and the problems that they're facing specific to their goals for that month. Imagine, Kat, when you sat down with an agent on the team, you could pull up that sheet and say, oh, okay, that's what you're working on. Mm-hmm. Here's where you're struggling mindset. Let's pair the two together now. Let's show you how you bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Right? It's hard to build a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where are you going, buddy? Walter, right? You do a ton with coaching agents, and you do a lot with pairing agents with coaching. Would you agree that being able to look at it and the agent saying, okay, I'm going to work on for sale by owners in this way. I'm going to call them. I'm going to call for sale by owners. I'm going to call 5 of them each week, right? 20 for the month. I need help with training. How much easier would it be for you to pair relevant training with them versus, hey, I need more sales?
Yep. It's hard for agents to execute if they don't have a roadmap, right? That's it, right? All of the knowledge in the world is fantastic, but the knowledge is everything, right? It's the whole world. You got to have a roadmap to go from your departure point to your destination. You got to be able to execute in an efficient manner. So, and that'll save me a ton of time because I usually spend the vast majority of an hour coaching an agent talking about who they are as a person, what kind of communication style do they use? Are they a social media person? Do they feel like an educator? And I'm trying to dissect where they believe it most aligns with their personal philosophy to do the various strategies that we teach in their business. And so that's a lot of time consumed just understanding the agent and where they want to move so that we can then line up the resources and build the roadmap to get them moving. So if they can learn to do that part for themselves and dissect their own business and know what they want to do, they can then speed up the process on taking those steps down the right path.
Yeah. And, for everybody watching, whether you're a brand new agent, senior agent, team leader, brokerage owner, agent recruiter even, would it bring you value if each month you had information about your local market, accurate from the last month, mortgages, rates, mortgage trends, information about your inventory, state of the inventory, as I like to call it. And then you have this outline of what specific strategies you're going to work on, when you're going to work on them, how much and in what way, what partners you'll leverage that month to help you execute those strategies, like how to integrate your lender, your title, your inspector as partners and bring them in like that, and have it all outlined very specifically and relevant to that month. I think what it also does is it allows a little bit of freedom too for agents to adjust month to month, right? We have seen with the Carbon Club, an agent has a family emergency. Okay, we're going to adjust, right? We're going to make a plan that's relevant to that, what you need for that month, and build around that versus, oh man, every day I'm supposed to do 6 hours of cold calling. And if I don't do that, I've messed up and I'm never going to reach my goals. Don't know. And I know that that's taught. That's taught. Consistency is key, but there's got to be a level of realism and balance. There is no point in making $1 million and being alone and being miserable. No point. There's a lot of miserable rich people out there, and they will tell you. So, man, I'm excited about it. I'm excited that each and every one of you is part of this, and we get to keep working towards bringing this together for everyone. I'm excited that, Walter, you're going to be pairing people with coaching, and Chris is going to be delivering about inventory, and our partner lender will be coming in and talking about what to expect and what to see in the market as far as what's happening. And then we just have so many different avenues to go and serve them through this. And I'm really excited to see how that goes. And again, everybody watching, we're excited. I'll keep you updated. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it because on Monday next week, we will do the form together. It's going to take a long time because it's going to be the first time and there's going to be lots of questions. How do I answer this? What do I do? But the sooner we get to work on it, the sooner we can refine it and make it better. So I'm assuming next Friday, we'll tell you all about how the form went, which is a key preparation for the actual meeting in person so that people show up to the State of the Union prepared. They know what to expect. They know what we're going to go over. And then that following Monday, we'll be doing the State of the Union. And we'll, of course, be bringing you an update that following Friday of how it went, how the first week of it went. I'm hoping it'll go well. Man, anybody else want to share anything or say anything before we wrap this up?
Did you forget about Irene or her questions?
She didn't submit the form.
I was going off I was going off the one before that because it's pretty much the same thing. I just didn't feel like copying and pasting it. The one from
she didn't submit the form, so I don't even know who she is. Like, the first question is, who are you? I don't know who she is.
I'm nobody.
She enjoys the background. It's okay. She does all the awesome behind the scenes. We all know this.
I mean, technically, she's had her video on longer than Chris has in this one, so
very true.
She's winning. I don't know.
Irene, what's your favorite moment of the week? I want to know.
Oh,
yeah, Irene, favorite moment of the week.
That one caught me off guard.
The same question we ask every week caught you off guard?
Yeah, I know. That's not. Well, I was prepared to answer the first question. That's what I had in my mind, and then he hit me with the last question.
This is what a good coach does. They make you think outside the box.
I might not have my video on, but I at least wasn't caught off guard with the question.
Oh,
I totally was. I was prepared for the first question, and then my anxiety shot up when I heard the third question. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Favorite moments of the week. I hooked Walt, Robert, and Chris with the new agent that was possibly thinking about joining the team. And then also that week, Amy got 2 new deals like in the same week.
Nice.
And on top of that, I think Sam got like a new listing and something else under contract. So I'm just going to pull those into this week. And those will be my favorite moments.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's awesome.
I agree. That's awesome.
Moving forward.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I will say that one of the most satisfying parts of being a team leader is when people listen and they thrive. You know, and I mean this in a respectful way, but it's like a parent-kid type of thing. And you get to see them and you're like, see, I wasn't just being a jerk. I'm not being a jerk. Like, I promise you, like, I want you to succeed. And I'm telling you this, I'm encouraging you this, I'm giving you this so you can succeed. And it's awesome to see people who were either hesitant to listen, which it's fine. You have to prove yourself. That's fine. You have to build trust. So hesitant to listen or skeptical. And then they start to put some of these things in practice and they see results. And you're like, man, imagine you did that 6 months ago. Imagine you did that, you know, when you first got started. What results would you see now? So it's definitely, and it's validating. As a leader, you can't help but always look at yourself and say, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I know it worked for me. Does it work for others? Right. And so it's validating to see the success and the growth. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome.
I'm sure some of our agents and like on the other side, whether it be a listing or a buyer agent, though, are probably sick of hearing from me though. As far as communication wise, because I just have to resend the same things over and over. And it could be our agents that I'm sending it to. It could be the agent on the complete opposite side that I'm having to send it to over and over, or I'll call them and be like, so it's been about 2 weeks and I still don't have this doc. And then like our agents will like reach out to them. And that's probably the biggest thing that's an issue is this just communication. And it's not always our agents, even though it still is some. It's other agents too. They just
I feel like that's an industry standard, unfortunately, is communication. Like it's a huge one. And especially for some reason, when you're doing a deal together and you're not with that agency, it's like immediately they want to butt heads, right? Like I've had some that are from different agencies and they've been freaking fantastic, but I've seen, unfortunately, more common than not that communication is crappy because, oh, well, you're the agent on the other side. So, and you don't work for my brokerage. So like I'll communicate.
It comes back to that competitive mindset. They somehow think that you're competitors instead of colleagues inside the same industry.
Yeah.
or they have like an ego to where it's like you checking in on something is somehow an attack on their character, and you're like Irene just said, it's been 2 weeks, man. Like, I don't want to have to talk to you, but I have to. I would just love the form back.
Like, don't worry. I'm tired of texting you and emailing you and calling too. I don't want to hear your voice. Like, I just want the document. I literally have another agent right now that he went under contract in like July 28th. I'm still missing 3 documents from that listing agent. I have texted him, just copy and pasted the same message every single day for 2 weeks, needing 3 documents. I've called his office trying to get them. I've tried to talk to his broker. He's been doing it for so long. He doesn't understand why the guy's using a TC. And I'm like, this is why, because you need one.
Yeah.
You need a me. You need a me. And even the agent was like, he needs an Irene. And I was like, tell him that. You tell him that. And just let him know. Because he does. He 100% does.
And that won't get better until there's accountability.
Yeah.
Like that brokerage, whoever that agent's at, and 2 weeks of lapse like that, remember that even in the case of death, there is protocol that is expected of our license and how we operate within our business, even in the case of death, which means there's not really an excuse. Okay. You can take a second and text someone unless you yourself are impaired and unable to do anything. Then there's some, what are you going to do if you can't do anything?
Yeah.
But even then it falls back on the brokerage.
I'm going to put this out there. If it's in the case of death, there's a lot of people with a dead business out there. So
True.
That's very applicable to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about today that I really wanted to talk about? We had so much fun with the other stuff. I really wanted to talk about, because I think this is an important examination in our industry, what's going on with Compass right now.
Dang it. We're going to save it as a main topic.
I'll say that for later. We're almost 3 minutes after.
Yeah. Maybe
that goes right back to the agent finance that we were talking about though at the beginning of it, right? It's a universal, right? Whether you're an agent or you're a brokerage, you have to know how to manage money. And if you're going to use debt, you have to do it wisely, right? That is a wonderful example of how not to do things with your money.
Yeah. Maybe next
Apparently, I
Friday.
need to go look into what's
Unfortunate, but
happening.
it is.
Maybe next
Out of the
Friday
loop.
we use that as the main topic of conversation instead of splitting off.
Yeah.
We'll just have a deep dive into that and financing for people and what that looks like for a business owner.
Chris over there doing the dishes. Don't mind.
Right?
Like, what is going on? Yeah. So
Good idea.
find out next week.
Next week.
To be continued.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. We'll dive into, truthfully, like why it happened / how it happened, what agents could have done to prevent themselves being a part of this, because I called it. I was at Compass, by the way. I called it before I ever joined Compass, and I left before it ever happened because I knew what to look for in the brokerage. I knew the signs. And then what Compass agents can do to come out of this on top, to come out of this as winners, because if they're at Compass, they're successful in the industry. Compass has a standard. So to maintain that and in fact grow from that, I think this will be a great topic. Don't anybody let me forget next week.
Definitely.
All right, everybody. We ran 4 minutes over. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week at 8 a.m. Central, where we're gonna have some fun talking about that. It's gonna be some really good conversations, healthy for our industry.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, leadership, for being here. See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Later.